Life constantly tests us with challenges, uncertainties, and distractions. Many people respond to these tests by blaming their circumstances, giving in to stress, or losing themselves in endless worries. But Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, taught that true power does not come from controlling the outside world, but from mastering the mind within. He ruled an empire during times of war, plague, and betrayal, yet he never allowed external events to dictate his inner peace. Instead, he turned to philosophy, writing his private reflections in a journal that would later become known as Meditations. These writings are not grand speeches for the public, but practical reminders to himself on how to live with discipline, clarity, and strength. Marcus believed that suffering can be transformed into growth, that distractions can be overcome with focus, and that every obstacle is an opportunity to build resilience. He showed that happiness is not dependent on wealth, status, or fortune, but on the quality of one's thoughts and actions. In a world full of noise, materialism, and constant pressure, his wisdom is more relevant than ever. By applying his philosophy, we can free ourselves from weakness, rise above distractions, and find the strength to live with purpose. In this script, we will uncover his most powerful lessons that can guide us toward clarity, discipline, and inner strength in our own lives. Marcus Aurelius firmly believed that the greatest battlefield lies not outside, but within. He often reminded himself that the quality of a person's life depends on the quality of their thoughts. In Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This idea captures the essence of Stoic philosophy, that external chaos cannot harm you unless you allow it to disturb your inner world. As emperor, Marcus faced constant turmoil, wars on the frontiers, betrayal among allies, and even a deadly plague. Yet he did not let these events break him internally. Instead, he trained himself to maintain clarity and calm. He understood that while he could not command fate, he could command his response to it. This inner mastery was the foundation of his resilience. In modern life, most people live as prisoners of their circumstances. A bad day, a harsh word, or an unexpected setback can completely destroy their peace of mind. But Marcus teaches us that freedom lies in separating what happens from how we respond. No one can truly control your mind unless you hand that power over to them. To practice this, begin by observing your thoughts. Notice when negative patterns arise, fear, anger, jealousy, and remind yourself, this is only a thought, not reality. Instead of reacting blindly, choose your response. Train your mind to focus on reason, virtue, and clarity, rather than impulses. Marcus's philosophy shows that when you master your inner world, the outer world loses its power over you. You no longer live as a victim of events, you live as their master. And in this mastery lies true freedom, strength, and peace. One of Marcus Aurelius's most repeated lessons is the importance of focusing only on what lies within our control. He reminded himself that most of life's pain comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. The weather, the behavior of others, the turning of fortune, these are beyond us. But our choices, our actions, and our attitude are always within reach. As ruler of Rome, Marcus could command armies, pass laws, and shape policy, but he could not control disease, the will of enemies, or even the loyalty of those closest to him. Instead of wasting energy on what was beyond his power, he trained his mind to focus on duty, on what he could do with integrity and wisdom in each moment. In today's world, we waste enormous amounts of energy on things outside our control. We worry about the opinions of others, obsess over the future, or dwell on the past. This creates anxiety, frustration, and paralysis. Marcus's wisdom offers a cure: divide life into two categories, what is yours, and what is not. Then give your full energy only to what is yours. Practicing this is simple but profound. If someone insults you, you cannot control their words, but you can control your reaction. If a plan fails, you cannot control fate, but you can control your effort to adapt. By focusing only on what lies within your hands, you preserve peace and clarity even when life is unstable. This discipline is not weakness, it is power. It frees you from frustration and makes your energy more effective. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that the wise person does not waste life chasing what cannot be controlled. Instead, they master themselves, and by doing so, they master their destiny. One of Marcus Aurelius's most powerful insights is that every obstacle carries within it the seed of opportunity. In Meditations, he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Instead of seeing difficulties as roadblocks, he saw them as stepping stones for growth. Throughout his reign, Marcus was tested by wars, betrayal, and even a devastating plague. Any one of these could have broken him. But he refused to let obstacles defeat him. Instead, he asked, "How can this serve me? How can I turn this into strength?" His struggles became his training ground, forging his character into one of history's most respected leaders. In our lives, we often view problems as unfair burdens. A failed job, a broken relationship, an illness, these feel like setbacks that rob us of peace. But Marcus teaches us to change our perspective. A failure is feedback. Pain is a lesson. Struggle is preparation. When we look at obstacles this way, nothing can truly stop us. The truth is that life is unpredictable. We cannot control what happens, but we can control the meaning we give to it. Obstacles can either destroy us or transform us, depending on how we respond. Like a fire that grows stronger when fed, a resilient person grows stronger when tested. Marcus Aurelius's wisdom reminds us that obstacles are not the enemy, they are the path itself. By embracing challenges, we turn them into fuel for growth. This is the Stoic way, to transform pain into power, hardship into wisdom, and obstacles into opportunities. Marcus Aurelius deeply understood that the chains which enslave most people are not external, but internal. They are the chains of uncontrolled desire, our endless hunger for wealth, comfort, pleasure, and recognition. He taught that true freedom is not found in getting everything we want, but in mastering the desires that control us. As emperor, Marcus had access to every luxury imaginable. He could have drowned in indulgence, living as many rulers did, surrounded by extravagance. Yet, he lived simply and reminded himself constantly that desire is a trap. Once one craving is satisfied, another rises in its place. The pursuit never ends, it only deepens our dissatisfaction. That is why Marcus warned himself that those who chase pleasure are never free, they are slaves to their cravings. In today's world, this lesson is more urgent than ever. Modern culture feeds on desire. Every advertisement, every social media post, every trend tells us that we need more possessions, more experiences, more validation. People spend their lives chasing things that never bring lasting peace. But Marcus teaches us that discipline over desire is the only path to strength. This does not mean rejecting pleasure entirely. It means placing reason above impulse. Eating a meal is natural, but gluttony is destructive. Seeking recognition is human, but obsession with approval makes you fragile. Wealth can be useful, but greed will corrupt your soul. Balance is the key, and balance comes only through discipline. To practice this, Marcus would reflect on the shortness of life. He reminded himself that pleasures are fleeting and that virtue alone endures. We too can apply this by asking, will this desire make me stronger or weaker? Does it serve my higher purpose, or is it only an escape? By disciplining desire, we reclaim control over our lives. Marcus Aurelius's life proves that the strongest conqueror is not the one who rules nations, but the one who rules himself. Discipline over desire is not a restriction, it is liberation. It frees you from being controlled by things outside of you, and it gives you the strength to live with clarity and purpose. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that life is fragile, uncertain, and fleeting. In Meditations, he wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This reminder of mortality, known as memento mori, was not meant to create fear, but urgency. For Marcus, the awareness of death was the key to living fully. As emperor, he witnessed death daily, soldiers falling in battle, citizens dying from plague, even personal losses within his own family. Instead of denying mortality, he accepted it as natural. He understood that fearing death only wastes the time we have. Instead, he used this awareness to sharpen his choices, reminding himself that every day could be his last. With this mindset, he asked, why waste time on anger, envy, or trivial pursuits? Modern society hides death. We distract ourselves with entertainment, possessions, and endless busyness, as if we will live forever. But this denial makes us careless with time. Marcus's philosophy teaches that remembering death makes us wiser, not weaker. It forces us to live with gratitude, urgency, and integrity. Imagine if today were your last day. Would you waste it scrolling aimlessly on your phone? Would you spend it arguing over meaningless things? Or would you love more deeply, act more courageously, and live with purpose? We do not need to wait for tragedy to wake us up. We can choose, every morning, to live as if time is short. A simple practice is to reflect each night, if I do not wake up tomorrow, was today well spent? If the answer is no, change how you live. Focus on relationships, growth, and service. Let go of grudges, envy, and distractions. Marcus Aurelius's awareness of mortality freed him from fear and vanity. It gave him courage to act decisively and wisdom to value each moment. When we too embrace this truth, we stop postponing our lives. We stop living for someday and start living for now. Death is not the end, it is the reminder that life itself is a gift. For Marcus Aurelius, the meaning of life was simple, to live in harmony with nature. By nature, he did not mean only the physical world, but the natural order of existence, the rational, moral structure of the universe. Human beings, unlike animals, have reason and conscience. Therefore, our duty is to live according to virtue, justice, courage, wisdom, and self-discipline. Marcus believed that just as the eye is meant to see and the hand is meant to grasp, humans are meant to act with integrity. When we fail to live by virtue, we go against our very nature. This belief guided his life not just as a man, but as emperor. Despite ruling the most powerful empire of his time, he never saw leadership as privilege, it was duty. His role was to serve Rome, not himself. This lesson is timeless. In today's world, many people feel lost because they chase pleasure, approval, or status instead of living by principle. But Marcus reminds us that true fulfillment comes only when our actions align with our higher purpose. Ask yourself, am I living for virtue, or for vanity? Am I guided by reason, or by impulse? Am I serving others, or only myself? Practicing this begins with self-reflection. Before every choice, pause and ask, is this consistent with who I want to be? Choose honesty over deceit, courage over fear, moderation over excess. When you live this way, life gains direction. You stop drifting aimlessly, you begin walking with purpose. Marcus Aurelius's devotion to duty made him one of history's most respected leaders. But his wisdom applies to all of us. You don't need to be an emperor to live by nature and duty. In your family, your work, and your community, you can serve with integrity and strength. This path is not easy, but it is the only path to a meaningful life. Marcus Aurelius believed that strength is not measured only by what we do, but by how well we control our emotions. Anger, fear, jealousy, and sadness are natural human responses, but he reminded himself that allowing emotions to rule over us is a form of weakness. In Meditations, he wrote that when we are provoked by external events, it is not the event itself that harms us, it is our judgment and reaction to it. As emperor, Marcus faced constant provocations, betrayals, disappointments, and attacks on the empire. Yet he refused to let anger blind him or despair paralyze him. Instead, he chose calm reasoning, patience, and self-control. This discipline allowed him to lead wisely even in times of chaos. His strength came not from suppressing emotions, but from mastering them. In today's world, many people are prisoners of their feelings. Social media outrage, daily stress, or sudden disappointments push them into emotional reactions, explosions of anger, endless anxiety, or deep hopelessness. Marcus's lesson is clear: emotions cannot be eliminated, but they can be governed. The difference between a wise person and a weak one lies in this inner mastery. Practically, this means learning to pause before reacting. If someone insults you, you can choose silence instead of retaliation. If fear rises, you can face it with preparation and courage. If sadness comes, you can remind yourself that pain is temporary. Over time, this practice builds resilience and emotional stability. Emotional control is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It is about transforming raw emotion into strength. Anger can become determination. Fear can become courage. Even grief can become compassion. This transformation makes us not less human, but more powerful. Marcus Aurelius proved that those who master their emotions inspire respect and trust. They remain steady in storms, unbroken in trials. In our lives too, emotional control protects us from regret, broken relationships, and wasted energy. It creates a calm center that no external chaos can disturb. True Stoic strength lies in this mastery: to be calm in the storm, unshaken in conflict, and steady in the face of fate. If you can govern your emotions, you cannot be conquered, from within or without. For Marcus Aurelius, each new day was a gift, not to be wasted. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude was not just a feeling for him, but a discipline. Combined with purpose, it gave direction to his life even during times of great turmoil. Despite ruling an empire under constant threat, Marcus began each day with reflection. He reminded himself that time is short, and therefore every choice matters. Instead of drifting aimlessly, he grounded himself in purpose, serving his people, practicing virtue, and living in harmony with philosophy. Gratitude gave him strength when everything around him was uncertain. Today, many people wake up overwhelmed, rushing through the day with stress and distraction. They chase tasks without clarity, often forgetting why they live at all. Marcus's wisdom reminds us to slow down and reflect. What is my purpose today? What am I grateful for? These two questions alone can reshape the course of life. Purpose means aligning your actions with your highest values. It means asking, am I living with integrity, or am I wasting my days on trivial pursuits? Gratitude shifts focus from what we lack to what we already have. Together, they create resilience, because a person who lives with purpose and gratitude cannot be easily broken. To apply this lesson, start with small rituals. Each morning, write down one thing you are grateful for and one meaningful action you will take. Each evening, reflect on whether you lived with intention. These simple habits cultivate clarity and protect you from the emptiness of distraction. Marcus's life shows that gratitude and purpose are more powerful than wealth or status. They create inner strength, protect against despair, and transform ordinary days into meaningful ones. When you live this way, you stop merely existing, you begin truly living. Marcus Aurelius lived nearly 2,000 years ago, yet his wisdom is more relevant now than ever. He showed us that true power is not found in controlling the world, but in controlling ourselves. His philosophy teaches us 8 timeless lessons: to master the mind, focus only on what we can control, see obstacles as opportunities, discipline our desires, remember the shortness of life, live according to duty, govern our emotions, and fill each day with purpose and gratitude. These are not abstract theories, they are practical strategies to live with clarity, discipline, and resilience. Marcus himself lived them in the most demanding circumstances, as Emperor of Rome during war, plague, and betrayal. If he could remain steady, calm, and virtuous in such times, then we too can practice his wisdom in our modern lives. If we adopt even a fraction of his teachings, we can rise above weakness, distractions, and fear. We can stop living as victims of circumstances and start living as masters of ourselves. This is the true freedom Marcus discovered, not freedom from life's challenges, but freedom in how we meet them. The Stoic path is not easy, but it is the path of strength. It demands discipline, courage, and reflection. Yet it offers something greater than comfort, it offers meaning. By following Marcus Aurelius's philosophy, we too can face chaos with calm, live with integrity, and find the strength to turn life's trials into triumphs.